You're watching Dante's Boxing Nation. Woo!
Dante's Boxing Nation, what's going on, guys? So I'm gonna go ahead and play this clip of what Eddie Hearn actually said at the weigh-in today, at the Canelo Rocky Fielding weigh-in. It's interesting because I got my reporter out there, my man Gustavo Neri. He also has his own YouTube channel. You guys can subscribe to it. I'll put the link in the description box. But it's interesting because I was talking to Gustavo the other day and I was telling him that, you know, we're kind of hearing conflicting details of who Canelo may end up facing next after Rocky Fielding. You got Bernard Hopkins, who said it's David Lemieux, and if it's not David Lemieux, then it may be Danny Jacobs. You got Oscar De La Hoya, who said that he wants, out of the three, out of Charlo, BJ Saunders, and Danny Jacobs, he would prefer Danny Jacobs first. Then you heard Eddie Gomez, I believe it was Eddie Gomez, he said he would like to see Canelo fight Caleb Smith. So my man Gustavo, he relayed that to Eddie Hearn, and this is what Eddie Hearn had to say. Check out the interview and I'm gonna give you guys my closing thoughts.
In terms of yourself, Mattress Sports, and then Golden Boy being on Dazn, my question to you, I'm kind of confused, right? Eric Gomez says he wants Caleb Smith. Bernard said he wants Andrade Jacobs. De La Hoya wants Triple G. I know you want from your table, but who ultimately decides who fights Canelo?
It'll be a mixture of Canelo, Golden Boy, and Dazn. They'll choose the next opponent. I believe that Dazn want Danny Jacobs in May. You know, if he wants to stay at 168, there's a Callum Smith fight as well. You know, I don't think he'll stay at 168. I think he'll move back to middle. But you know, he has options if he can beat Rocky Fielding. Rocky Fielding's our guy, so I want Rocky Fielding to win. But you know, Andrade is also world middleweight champion, so we'll see.
So there it is, guys. It's starting to sound like it's unanimous that it's going to be Danny Jacobs next for Canelo Alvarez, despite, once again, Bernard Hopkins telling people that it may be David Lemieux. That interview is up on my channel if you guys haven't watched it, with Bernard Hopkins, and the one with Eddie Gomez saying they want Caleb Smith. But anyway, this would be the best move. Well, I won't say the best move. The best move would be for Canelo to fight the most dangerous opponent, which is Charlo. We all know that Charlo is the most dangerous opponent, but he will save face if he fights against Danny Jacobs. Danny Jacobs has the best resume in the middleweight division right now. He's fought 4 undefeated fighters in a row. It could be argued that he beat Gennady Golovkin, just like it could be argued that Canelo Alvarez beat Gennady Golovkin in both of their fights. But Danny Jacobs, once again, he beat the undefeated Sergey Kovalev, Selesky Majes, and Arias. So there's no doubt about it. Danny Jacobs definitely has the most consistent resume when it comes to facing top-level opposition. And when I say consistent, what I mean is, unlike a Canelo Alvarez or even a Gennady Golovkin, Danny Jacobs didn't fight one tough fighter and then take a break and turn down a tough fighter to fight an easy opponent. You know how people say, hey man, let Canelo fight an easy fight. I see a lot of Canelo fans saying, hey, I know Rocky Fielding is a nobody or it's a cherry pick, but hey, he deserves a cherry pick after he just had a tough fight with Gennady Golovkin. Well, by way of contrast, that's not the way Danny Jacobs sees it, because he went a complete different route. After Danny Jacobs fought against Gennady Golovkin, he continued to face tough opposition. Once again, he fought Arias, then he fought Selesky Majes, then he fought the guy that Golovkin did not want to fight. Matter of fact, Golovkin gave up his belt to avoid, which was Sergey Kovalev. And now he wants Canelo Alvarez. So there's no doubt about it, Canelo Alvarez facing Danny Jacobs will be a good look. It'll take some pressure off of him not facing the more dangerous Jermall Charlo. There's no doubt about it. It's clear that the perception, at least from Team Canelo, is Danny Jacobs is the weakest link compared to a Charlo, a BJ Saunders, or a Demetrius Andrade. and that's mainly because of Danny Jacobs' last performance against Sergey Kovalev. It was a war. They went back and forth. The fight was extremely close, but Danny Jacobs, he pulled it off. It wasn't Danny Jacobs' best performance, but that's good because that possibly got him a date with Canelo next year in May. I'm really glad Eddie Hearn kind of cleared that up when he said, Dazn, this is what Dazn wants. That's good news because that pretty much tells me that Dazn is saying, if we're going to pay you $365 million, you're going to have to fight some of the best fighters in the division. You're not going to fight 12 or 11 Rocky Fieldings. You know, me personally, I've always believed that there's a very good chance that eventually Canelo will fight all of these guys, or at least the majority of the top guys in the middleweight division. That is the difference from Canelo and Gennady Golovkin. When it comes to Canelo, there may be these huge gaps in between him facing the most dangerous opponents. But when it comes to Gennady Golovkin, he never has any plans of facing tough competition like Charlo, Andre Ward, etc., etc., etc. By the way, that reminds me of something that Golovkin's trainer had told me in an interview I did with him before Andre Ward fought against Sergey Kovalev in the rematch. Abel Sanchez actually told me if Andre Ward beats Sergey Kovalev in a rematch, that would be a really good fight for Gennady Golovkin. For Golovkin to fight Ward, once again, if he beats Sergey Kovalev in a rematch. And we all know Andre Ward, he stopped Kovalev in the rematch. So once again, my point is, when it comes to Canelo Alvarez, it may take him a while to fight some of these guys, but when it comes to Golovkin, he just won't fight him at all. So I'll close with saying this. I really hope that Canelo does fight Danny Jacobs. That's a great fight. That fight will do really good numbers. Cinco de Mayo, USA versus Mexico, usually attracts the most passionate, emotional fans, and that's the reason why it's going to do good numbers. I truly believe that this is a 50-50 fight. This won't be an easy fight for Danny Jacobs or Canelo Alvarez. Canelo, he looked really good in his last performance against Gennady Golovkin. I was really impressed. The way he walked down Gennady Golovkin. He took some good shots from Gennady Golovkin. It's funny how some fans say that Golovkin has this iron chin. I don't see him having an iron chin because Golovkin doesn't get hit that much. And he looks uncomfortable when he does get hit. Someone like a Margarito or a Diego Corrales, those were fighters with iron chins. They would walk through your best shots, and I'm talking about consecutive shots, power punches. They would walk through those punches for rounds and rounds and rounds, and then the majority of times come back and stop their opponents. That's someone with a good iron chin. As far as I'm concerned, Canelo showed the better chin in that fight because he was the one that was really walking through some good shots, and Golovkin was supposed to be the man with 20 knockouts in a row. But yet, it's the smaller Canelo that's walking through Gennady Golovkin's best shots. And it's the bigger Gennady Golovkin that's backing up as if he's in there with a power puncher that hits harder than he does. So yeah, I definitely see this as a 50-50 fight, Canelo versus Danny Jacobs. You know, a lot of times fans, they get the message or they get the point misconstrued when we say we want to see the best fight the best. Wanting to see the best fight the best, that doesn't mean you only want to see the fight because you think or you know that your horse is going to win, right? So for example, if we want to see Charlo versus Canelo, it's not just because we know that Charlo's going to win the fight. If Canelo wins the fight, I still wanted to see it. Even in hindsight, I still wanted to see the fight. It's no different than watching Rigo versus Lomachenko. Lomachenko dominated Guillermo Rigo. But looking back in hindsight, I still would have preferred to see that fight because then we get to see who is really the best. Regardless of who you're rooting for, we want to know who the best is at the end of the day. And if you're a true fan or if you're loyal to your favorite fighter, you should feel the same way. Even though you're rooting for Canelo Alvarez, hey man, if he's going to lose, at least you know for sure how good he is and was. No boxing fan should be praying that their favorite fighter doesn't have to fight the best competition so he can remain on top or he can remain unbeaten. Because first of all, if you're not beating the best competition, you're not on top and you get passed by. And secondly, all you're doing is fooling yourself. So with that being said, I look forward to seeing the announcement of Canelo Alvarez's next fight. Hopefully, once again, it's Danny Jacobs or someone on that level. I'm going to go ahead and wrap this video up. That's all I got for now, guys. I'm on to the next one.